Hi there again. So I was asked a really good question, and they asked I do an answer by video, so I'll answer by video. The question was, why, if everything was so rosy when I was with Balanchine in the New York City Ballet in my 20s, did I leave to go to Los Angeles and start a company in a town that's notoriously not supportive of the performing arts, really? It's a good question. I ask myself that question a lot, but I'd like to put it in context. When I joined the New York City Ballet, Balanchine brought me in at 19 to be a choreographer. He'd seen my ballets in LA and liked them. It wasn't until I was taking his class that he began to really like me as a dancer. So I was very spoiled. So that's part of the problem. I was very spoiled. But I choreographed 8 ballets for the company from 20 to 26 years of age. And when I started choreographing, Jerry Robbins had not come back to the company yet. This was before Peter Martins even joined. The house choreographers, Balanchine didn't like the term resident choreographer, by the way. He preferred the term house choreographer. So the house choreographers were himself, John Terrace, Jacques d'Amboise, Frank Monsen had done some stuff, and myself when I started choreographing. We were considered the house choreographers, and we all did a ballet or two a season. John Terrace stopped choreographing for the company my first or second year, and Jacques continued for a few years, but he stopped. So basically I kind of had it to myself there for a couple of years before Jerry Robbins joined. So I had no complaints at all. Again, I was spoiled. I choreographed my ballets. Balanchine liked them. He had advice. Certain things he thought I could do better, he would tell me, but he didn't tell me what to do. He just would give me little directions, and that's something I wish I could give the younger choreographers now. Not that they're doing badly, not at all, they're doing great. But there are questions Balanchine asked me that made me think about certain things that I think are useful. Anyway, and I was dancing everything. I couldn't complain, even when Peter joined the company and then Helgi Thomason. I was threatened by Helgi because he was my height, and I thought, oh God, because Helgi was a really nice classical technician. But I didn't lose anything. I gained more roles, and actually Coppelia was supposed to be me and Gelsey Kirkland. We were the first cast, and we had started rehearsing with Balanchine, and he choreographed the third act variation on me. Now it's gone back to his version that he did from Sylvia Pa. But the third act variation he choreographed on me was different. And so I had no complaints, but the reason I left was Jerry was back doing, wonderful ballets, and Balanchine was active like crazy. He had no health problems then. He always told us he'd live to 130, as I said the other day, because he was a Georgian, and we believed him. And I'd done 8 ballets, but I was beginning to feel redundant. I mean, when you have Balanchine choreographing masterpieces and you have Jerome Robbins choreographing masterpieces, what do they need me for, quite frankly? And even though Balanchine never took away my opportunities at all, he kept encouraging me, I personally felt the word is redundant. And I had some opportunities in Los Angeles which did not have a professional ballet company. Did some concerts in LA, brought out Violette Verdi, Allegra Kent, Anthony Blum, Sarah Leland, Brian Pitts, the 2 Bourne sisters who were from my school in Los Angeles, Irina Kosmovska's school. And I liked the energy that was starting to be developed, and certain future board members approached me about backing a Los Angeles ballet. So I thought, well, maybe while I was still young and I could still dance, so I could kind of still be the figurehead of the company. We actually got a lot of tours based on me dancing. I had to dance. I thought I might as well do that while I could. I kind of hurt Balanchine's feelings, because now that I think back, I left, a few months before Coppelia premiere, and that was very important to him, and he wanted me to be the first cast. I won't tell you something. I assumed Helgi would have been the first cast, but Balanchine told me something. So And he had told me I was supposed to do Prodigal Son, which I was dying to do. I loved Prodigal Son. But that's it. Basically, I just felt that I should get to LA while I was still young and could dance and give it my energy. Interestingly enough, Balanchine didn't want me to go, but he didn't stop me. He actually gave me a German Shepherd puppy on my way out. And if you don't believe me, ask Christine Redpath or Patricia McBride or Kay Mazo. They all know the relationship I had in the company. I was very, very fortunate. But within 6 weeks, Balanchine had me back dancing with the New York City Ballet. They were doing 2 weeks at the Greek Theater, and I got a call, John, can you dance? So I said, sure. So I danced for both weeks at the Greek, all my old roles. Then a few months later, I got a call from Barbara Horgan, a secretary. John, can you come back to New York? He wants you to do Harlequinade and some other things. And, I never could say no to Balanchine. So I went back to New York for another couple of weeks and danced that season. And this went on for a few years until Baryshnikov joined the company. Then he definitely didn't need me. But then the last time I danced, he needed me to dance opening night in Saratoga in Midsummer Night's Dream, my old part of Oberon, and I happened to be there just visiting. Hadn't done Oberon in about 7 years. But I did it, and he gave me a big magnum of champagne. It was wonderful. And that was the last time he saw me dance, because in 1980 his health was so bad, he couldn't spend a full day in the theater, and he wasn't coming to performance every night like he used to. So his last image of me anyway was dancing, and I did pretty well that night, by the way. So that made me feel good. And then the last time I saw him was in the hospital, a few weeks before he died, and that's another story. So that answers the question of why I left the New York City Ballet. Was it a mistake? Yes and no. It certainly gave me experience. I traveled the world with my own company and learned how to develop dancers like Damien and others, which I would not have had if I stayed in New York. If I had stayed in New York, I definitely would have been useful for him when his health started declining, which I would have loved to have done. But that's fate, and we are where we are now. The future is yet to be told.